I'm JD. Welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and please hit like. And if you want me to do any watch work for you, contact me at jdwatchservice@gmail.com. jdwatchservice@gmail.com. My bench is rather empty right now. But today I've got a Elgin National Watch Company pocket watch movement. So these movements are super interesting. My friend Sonny collects these movements, and what's interesting about them is this part of the movement. So in this part of the movement, you can switch where the crown and stem are in the watch from this position to this position, which allows you to switch the watch within a case from the 12 o'clock position to the 12 with the crown up, or you can switch it so that the crown is at the 3 o'clock position, which accommodates the watch either being, you just grab another pocket watch, either being like this, or you rotate it like that and it's like this, meaning it can be put in the hunter position, right? So from here, which is a normal position crown up, to the hunter position like that. Let me just turn this around so you can see what I mean. Yeah, so that would be a normal position for the movement and for the watch. And then if you flip it like this, it ends up being in the hunter position. And atypical of a case with a lid on it. Not the cases that don't have case tops or lids on them they're not normally in this position with the crown at the 3 o'clock position. So the Elgin Watch Company made these watches to allow them to be able to either install them in the two different types of watches, which is a traditional one. So this watch here is from 1886, super old, full plate, beautiful Waltham pocket watch here, and also running and also lever set. So it also has a lever in here, 1886 lever set. This was before the requirements for a railroad grade, but there you go, lever set pocket watch. What time is it right now? I think it's around 2:41, so let's just set this quickly. This one keeps great time, by the way. So 2:41, so 2:40, I'll put it just almost 2:42, like that. Give it a bit of a wind, and this pocket watch will run for quite a while. So this is one of my favorite pocket watches, by the way. It's got a snap down lid here, and it is full plate. And what does that mean? That means it's tricky to repair. So here it is there, running extremely well, very strong, high amplitude, and the accuracy on this watch is just incredible. So it's a W.M. Ellery, Waltham, Massachusetts. So likely made, the name is likely from one of the gentlemen who worked in the Waltham Watch Company. They do that every now and then. They'd make a watch and name it after that person. So there we go. That's one of my favorite pocket watches here. Gold filled. I think it's 20 years, which guarantees that the gold would not come off for a period of 20 years through normal wear. This is one of my favorite pocket watches. But today, and also these chains, this watch chain I have here, this is for a belt, and I bought this chain from China. And if I look at I went on the internet and I went to AliExpress and I bought a bunch of watch chains. I just wanted to show these to you before I get into the Elgin Convertible watch I just showed you 2 seconds ago. So there's one watch chain here. Let me just look at that. And that's stainless steel, I think, looks like silver. This would go where the button is on your vest. The watch would hang from here, and then the little short one would be a pocket knife or some kind of a decorative coin or something that you'd have on there. So that's a single for the as opposed to a double. And let me just put that back in the package so I don't forget it and lose it. I'm just very chatty today. I've slowed down my watch work for the summer, but I am willing to take on some watches. This is another one. This is a simple one that I got as well. It has a Again, this goes in where the button is, right there, like that. And this, my friends, is a double, which means this side hangs on one side, and this side hangs on the other side. Double, what's the name? Double, toil and trouble. So this would be called a double Albert. Let me just show you this in a picture. This is what a double Albert looks like. So probably after a king or some sort, likely British, but it's a double Albert. And that's what that chain represents. And there's also a YouTube video on how to properly wear a double Albert chain. So I purchased this too. And then I purchased a gold single, I believe, which looks really nice with some pocket watches that I have. And I'll just spill this out because I've spilled everything out already. So here we go. That's a belt attachment here. So it goes onto your belt, and then this would go in your pocket. And on your jeans, there is a small pocket on the right-hand side of your jeans. There's your normal pocket, and then right before you hit the normal pocket, there's a small pocket, and that pocket on your jeans is for a pocket watch. The jean companies kept that pocket over the years for some reason, for style, I guess, but it's for a pocket watch. And then this one here is kind of like a snake. This chain, very nice. All these chains made in China. Each chain costs around $5. Amazing price for what you get, for the quality you get. So that was a double Albert, and this is a single Albert. Probably not. Anyway, so this pocket watch here again is made to allow you to flip the movement within a pocket watch case, so it can be either configured with the crown at 12 o'clock or the crown at 3. And I hear it's very difficult to find the appropriate case for this watch. The other thing, and I guess Sonny or somebody could tell me, that I believe this is lever set. So let's look up the age of this watch first of all before we go any further. So that's 606532, 606532. Now if I go to the Pocket Watch database, where I actually have a membership, I pay a slight fee to enable me to evaluate the price or the value of a pocket watch. So 606532, I think is what I said. So 606532, and it's Elgin National Watch Company. So look that up, hit go, and what am I going to get here? I'm going to get, there it is there. Is that the right pocket watch? I hope so. Let me stretch this out for you. So this is called an Elgin Convertible pocket watch, as you can see in the illustration on the side there. So, and the way this watch works, as I said, there's a gear underneath here, if you can see that, if it's showing. Left or right side, you remove this plate here and you just take the gear and move it from one side to the other. Then you're able to take the stem and move the stem from one side to the other. And of course, there's no crown on this because the crown would be installed on the movement case itself. So that's how it works. And then this little lever here, this is sprung here. So actually when you set the watch, this wheel springs up, and this little small metal lever grabs onto this wheel here and then pulls it up. And then it interfaces with the center wheel here. There's two wheels, a normal center wheel, then there's a sub-center wheel on the top, and that allows you to set the watch. So that's how it's set. I'm going to try to do that in a second. And it's got a Mosley regulator. Is that the same as this one here? I think so. Yeah, it's the exact same regulator. So this watch is fundamentally or pretty much the same watch. Now if I scroll down a bit on my screen here, I should be able to get more data. Grade 49. Model 1, it wants to click. Class 17, so estimated production year 1879. I swear the engineers were bored. And someone said, you guys need to build me a watch. So 1879. So that's pretty impressive. They made 1,000 of this particular model, and total production was 7,000. Not a lot of them. The movement configuration says interchangeable. It is adjusted, as you can see, and it is a railroad grade. So what I don't understand, and you guys can write me and clear this up for me, is that if this is lever set, it has 15 joules, perhaps enough for railroad grade. It says it's railroad grade. What I don't understand is the railroad grade standards weren't established until the 1890s. So was this built and then they decided it was good enough to become railroad grade because of the quality of the build? So what we're going to do here is strip this thing down. I've got to figure out how to take the power off it, and I think I'll probably be able to do that by using this very small key I have in here. And as you can see, this is how it winds. It feels like it's wound all the way up right now, so I need to somehow take the power off this watch. I suspect I have to do it by pushing the lever in. So I'll look that up and then I'll be right back with the solution. But before we do that, if you look at the value of the watch here for the grade 49, it's changed over time. The value had gone way up 2023 September, October, November, December to 2024 December, and then it's gone way down here. So people are not buying these pocket watches. It may have something to do with the current U.S. administration. It might have something to do with tariffs. Who knows? Because this was up $496, so much higher value. In 2022, it was still higher than it is now. So the watch value has gone down, which normally they go up. Don't understand that. So analyzing 36 sales. So there you go. So highest value is 245, and that's for the movement. And average is $200 for the movement. So not great, but doable. So this thing just wants to keep ticking, doesn't it? You guys can let me know what average watch values, whether they've gone up or down or why. So the first thing I'm going to do with this watch is remove the hands. I've got to set the time on this because I want to get these hands out of there before I do any work on it. So I just pull the lever out for the lever set mechanism. It looks to be a little tough to pull this out. Come on. Yeah, this is a tough lever to pull out. I wonder why. There we go. So now the lever is pulled out. It wants to go back in again. With the lever out, I should be able to set the time by turning the stem. Right? That should work. There we go. So it does work. And I just want the two hands to be together for now. That's all. I can push that back in again and then get my hand removers out. I've got very fat hand removers so they don't leave a mark because the pressure is well distributed for the hands. I give it a little piece of plastic here that I always carry. See where my plastic is? Always reach into the normal area, and there it is. And with the hand removers, I just use the edge of the hand removers. I don't need to use the full hand remover. And just lift up like that, and that'll get rid of the hands. We just move those aside quickly. It's just ticking away. Now this watch has not been cleaned or disassembled. And for the seconds hand, my trick here is to get a very small screwdriver and just put that in the center and just wedge it just turn the screwdriver slightly. It should raise the hand up, which it did, and just get that out of the way. Now I have the watch case over on the side here that I can put the parts in. So now the hands are out of the way. I still don't know how to take the power off this. I'm assuming because the mainspring is right here that the click, this hole here might be the entrance way for the click. I have to find a needle small enough to go in there though and turn the crown ever so slightly like that while I push on that, push in the hole, and hopefully that actually takes the power off the watch. Again, I guess the good news is this thing seems to want to run, but I want to use this needle to take the power off it. But I don't want to press that in yet. What I'd like to do first is take the face off the watch, which means I've got to loosen the dial screws here. There should be 3 dial screws on this watch. So let me just grab the right screwdriver and see if I can get in here. Alright, that's one. I usually loosen them and then tighten them up again so I don't lose them, because it's too easy to lose a dial screw. And just feel for the thread. That's 2. It's fine business, watchmaking. So if you're interested in watchmaking and you live in the Ottawa area where I live, you can join our club. So the club is the Ottawa Valley Watch and Clock Collectors Club. There's a lot of clock dudes in the club, but there's also a lot of watch and pocket watch people. So it serves the interest of a broad community of watchmakers. So if you're interested in joining the club, then you can. You don't have to live in Ottawa to join the club. We have some members that are outside of the province. There's members that are from Toronto. One gentleman is extremely bright, who's a brilliant watchmaker, makes parts, makes gears, and he lives outside of Toronto. Very good watchmaker. So he and I used to enjoy fencing back and forth, and I always knew he was smarter than me, so I always listened to whatever he had to say. So here are the guts on the inside, and you can see here, this is where this lever set is. And like I said before, when you pull that lever up, if you look at this right here, what happens when you pull the lever up, that gear floats up. You can see that going up. So when you turn it, I think the teeth are meshing right now, but if you turn that like this, you grab this lever again, see if I can pull that out and then turn it. There we go. So now I pull the lever out, and then there you go. You can see the center wheel turning, and that's turning I'll say the motion works, but it's turning the hour and the minute wheel on the inside. So that's how that works. And it was this little tiny lever here pulls up on this, and that basically makes the teeth on this gear merge with the teeth on the center wheel. Rolex also has a center wheel like this in some of their older movements. So, and that's what that is there. And on the inside of this whole shenanigan thing, there's a post right underneath here that when I pull this up, the post pulls this up. And that's how that pulls this whole rig up, which is pretty neat design, I guess, configuration design, whatever. So it's interesting. Like I said, the engineers were bored and they had to figure out what to do that weekend. But it had to be management that said, why are we making 2 different types of movements? Why don't we make one movement where it's configurable? So that's why it's the Elgin Convertible. It converts from one to another. But I still have yet to take the power off of it. Even though it's ticking well right now, but I still need to clean this though, regardless of how well it's ticking. Now I can take the balance out, which would, the pallet fork's still there to suppress the watch from running down. If I remove the balance right now, it's probably going to be a little safer as I take the power down on this watch. I usually take the power down with the balance in place though, however. But I don't know if that's at all doable, and I don't actually know if this hole, I still have thread on my needle, is where I push down to actually take the power off. No, there it is. That is working. So that is allowing me to relieve the power from the mainspring by pressing a needle into that very small hole. I kind of just lay the watch on the side of the movement and just let this run down. Now in this case here, I can't use a bench key because it's inverted. This is a female key into a male stem. So I just have to keep walking this down with my hand and not let it go. So I'm just walking it down with my fingers. Fingernails are long because I play guitar, if anyone's interested in why I have long fingernails, but that is almost done. I can feel it, not much left. That is it. There we go. So the power is now off the movement, which is a good thing. Now I'm going to get my Myers number 58 movement holder to continue with the disassembly of this movement. So here we go. The appropriate jaws I need for this are the jaws for size 12, 16, and 18 pocket watches. And you just slide that in like this. And there's a spring on the bottom right there. That's the spring for it. And just slide that in place. I usually come at the side and slide it in. I've got a few of these movement holders. They're very handy. And you can just press a button over here to slide it into place. And the reason I took the dial off is because when I want to put it in the movement holder, I don't want it squishing the dial. So there's also, I want to make sure that this pivot is safe here, and that's the pivot for the seconds hand. So I know when I lay this down that this is high enough to cover the pivot for the seconds hand, but it's close. Because I know if I take like that, take your screwdriver and just measure or lay the screwdriver down from this edge to the cannon pinion, you'll see what kind of room you have. I've got to get my hand out of the way here. And there you go. So it's pretty friggin' close. A little pressure on the back, and then there it is there. So it's bent a little bit, but it shows you that when you lay the watch down like this, you're not going to break the pivot for the second hand. I still don't trust that though. Like I said, when I lay the watch down like that, I'm not going to break the pivot. But I wanted to take the dial off of the watch, and I wanted to put the movement in. And I know that when the movement's put in here, that this pivot for the seconds hand, which is the fourth wheel, is in good shape. There's no issue. If you look really closely here, it's pretty dirty. If you look at that right dead center of the screen, look how much filth there is there. So all that needs to be cleaned up. I'll end up taking the cannon pinion off as well. I can take that off anytime. I can do it now. There's a cannon pinion remover that I have, but I really want to remove the balance, so there's no jeopardy of it getting ruined or anything. So I'll just put this in the movement holder like that, and then screw that in. Keeping my ugly face in view today for some reason, but I'll keep it like this. I'd like to thank all people who have watched my videos since 2008 on YouTube. I've got a boatload of videos that I've made over the years on watchmaking and other things. I've tried to pass along as much knowledge as I could. A lot of it I got from other people. I know there's a gentleman that's in the UK, his name is Old Hippie, and he taught me a lot about watchmaking. Everything from how to use a lathe properly, which I got from Mr. Tasconi, who lives in New Mexico. He had videos on watchmaking, but I called him up, or he called me up actually once, because he said, I'm sick of writing you emails, let's just talk. So he's a very nice guy. He was an engineer working for Boeing Corporation, but was a professional watch and clock maker, and taught me a lot about how to do work on lathes, because I didn't have a lot of lathe experience at that time when I got into trying to make balance staffs years ago. And John, what was his name? John Thrope, I think. Let me look this up. I'm going to go live and grab a video. Hang on. There's a complete course in watchmaking, and the guy who sold the videos and the course was excellent. John Trope. So there's the course right there. Let me just move this down. And the watch repair course by John Tope, T-O-P-E. DVDs 3 and 4. I watched this. I think I'll take some time and watch this again. It was an excellent course, and the individual who taught it knows his stuff. He's very nerdy like I am, but I highly recommend buying this video. If you've got some cash, I think you can find them online, and you can actually get a hold of John and buy them directly from him, I believe also. So, while I always take the balance out as I get back to my job here, I always use this stick to hold the balance cock in place while I turn this screw. And the reason I do that is I don't want the balance to hop up as I'm removing it from its station. Let me just put that in the middle. And depends on how I feel, but I use various balance holders. This one is not bad because I bought it from AliExpress again, but you can set this, and I cut the post down on this a long time ago, and you can set this to align so that the hole and the movement are pretty much aligned. So I'm looking down on the two and see where the center of the balance is, and now I can move. I align this with this screw hole and align this, get my tweezers out, align this with the center of the balance where the jewel would be, the upper jewel. And now I've got the two aligned. When I remove the balance and put it down, the balance will actually rest on this, and takes a lot of the tension out of the hairspring. So, and to remove this, there's a little hole, a gap in the side. I got to get a smaller screwdriver for this. And again, I want to make sure I've got some control over this. So I'm just going to do this, that's loose now. And now when I lift up on the balance, I want to lift it and tilt it. So to tilt it properly, I need this movement to be a little bit this way. It's a little trickier with this particular movement holder because I've got the stem sticking out. I don't think the stem could clear this here, but I think I just have to grab the balance cock like that, and then lift up, and then you use gravity, and that'll allow you to pop it out. So there it is there. And like I said, when I lower this on here, this should be lowered so that the balance, the roller table fits right in the center there. So let me line the arms up and see if I can get a perfect fit. And that, my friends, is a perfect fit. So have a look at that. Now you see how the arms of the balance are resting in there? So they're resting on one side anyway. Let me just move that around. Yeah, they're resting on the inside, on that side. So I can move that up a bit to take some stress off of the hairspring, just by holding this and then unscrewing it a bit, like that, and then lowering it again. There we go. That's good enough. It won't lower even because the impulse jewel is in the way, but it's resting nicely there. There's no problem. And that's the balance sitting in a balance cock, or a tack, a balance tack. And when I do this, I often take I got a little piece of Rodico there. I'll take the screw that holds it in and just push that down here. And that way I don't lose the screw. So I know where that is. Now I do have my dunker table. I may move this to the dunker table later. But for now, let's just leave that on here, and I'll continue working on the movement itself. So now I've got the balance out of there. I feel a little bit safer, and that's what the pallet fork looks like. It's all in pretty good condition. I'm not absolutely sure about. I think this is friction fit on top, this wheel here, but I know I can remove these components here. So let's get at that. And see how that is, see what I can do to remove all this. I think this screw here will allow me to remove this, and I don't have to loosen this screw here, so I only have to deal with one screw. I'm going to turn off my camera because I got to get a bit closer doing this. Alright, I'm going to attempt to take this lever off here and see if I can get a little closer maybe. Let's see if I can get a little closer. That's close enough. If I look down on this lever, there's a screw right here. And there we go. That screw came out, so I want this screw and the lever to be paired up. I actually thought that was out, but I think the screw is a pretty deep screw. There we go. That's a screw there, so I'll just put that down. There, and then I think I can lift the lever out maybe. There's a fuzz ball in there, so there's the lever. And you can see the two sides here. The other movement I had like this only had one side. One side was broken, but it was still usable. So that's what that looks like. And so this whole thing lifts up. And what causes it to lift up is this post right here. I think this post comes straight up, if I recall. So I think I can actually dump the post. The post is right there, but if I pull the hand setting lever here, and you see the post come up there. That's the post there that pushes up on everything. And it's just sitting there. So I don't think this post is attached at all. It just sits there. I don't know whether it'll just come straight up for me. Doesn't look like it. So I can deal with that later. Pull that back in again. And now I've got the freedom to remove this plate here, right? Which I think I will do, and show you how this is configured. These screws are in really good. I'm wearing my Apple titanium watch, which actually gets in my way when I do watchmaking, because I can feel the strap touch the mat, which is no good. And as my wife would tell you, it doesn't take much to distract me. I get easily distracted. Also, people I've worked with over the years, where there was an admin assistant I had years ago that she was crumpling a chip bag while I was giving a presentation, and it bugged the crap out of me. So there we go, that's that there. I don't think this comes up unless the plate's out. So I need to move the plate out. So let me just grab my tweezers here and put the tweezers here. See if I'm able to lift the plate. And I can put my screwdriver in here and then, there we go. And prine it out, is that the right word? Prine. So there it is there. That is the mechanism right there. So when you repair this thing, you basically, or when you switch the configuration, you just move this wheel here from this side. Of course it's angled here, but you move it to this side and then you've changed the configuration. One thing I haven't done yet, which I should do before it gets a little bit too desperate, is take the cannon pinion out. Now I can remove this wheel now, I think. That should come straight up. Yeah, there we go. That wheel comes straight up and out. And I'll just put that aside. And then we've got some gears. So when I put my pin in there, this was the configuration of what I put in. What I don't like to do is remove these springs here because I'm so concerned about these springs breaking. I may do it on this watch though, because only because there's big enough screws in there. So now if I flip this around, hopefully nothing drops. But I do have the video, so I can go look back on this. I can actually lift this whole rig out first. So there we go. So I'll lift this out and put it aside, because I'll just take the wheel off that after. And then there's the mainspring that I can just lift up. I think up and out for the mainspring, possibly. I do want to, yeah. Let me look at that mainspring. Yeah, I think I need to remove this plate to remove that mainspring, but I can remove the stem. Yeah, I'm not taking any pictures here. I'm just going to have to play my video in reverse later on. So that's that. Now I do want to remove the cannon pinion. I'm hoping that comes straight up. There's usually a little indent in the cannon pinion, so I can move that straight up and out of the way. That way the center wheel can come out. Where is the indent? I don't think there is an indent. This could be trickier than I thought. So, time to get the cannon pinion removing device out. The pliers I use. So another great tool in watchmaking for removing cannon pinions. Here it is here. This should work. You put this over the top here and make sure that the sides are braced properly. And you just put that right over the top of the cannon pinion. And then you push down and pray. Like this. Well, this thing is just simply sliding, so it doesn't look like it wants to remove the cannon pinion. This could be interesting. And one thing I don't want to do is ruin this. So what should I do here? Any advice? If I take this plate out, this is not going to move because the cannon pinion is still in place. But what I'll do first is, for safety reasons alone, is remove the pallet fork. Again, I'm Mr. Safety, so I want to make sure that but nothing can be ruined or exposed improperly, so to damage. So I'm going to move this plate out of the way I have right there, and then let's just see if I can unscrew the cock for the and it's cocked because it's one arm. There we go, for the pallet fork. I got to keep these guys together as well, and I can see that there's a hole right here to allow me to lift that straight up. There we go, and the pallet fork is stuck to it, so I'll leave it stuck like this for now. I'll take that out properly. So there's the configuration. This is old, I can tell by the pallet fork. That is one old pallet fork, folks. So I'm just going to put that aside, upside down. Rest that and keep the screw with it, so I know the two are friends. And I think the cannon pinion, I may have to use a pair of pliers to pull that up. I don't like that to have to do that, but I know that if I could fit a screwdriver under here, I might be able to prime it up a bit. What I don't want to do is ruin the teeth. Gotta be super careful here. Yeah, I think I need to pull that out, so I need to get a pair of pliers. So I have a pair of pliers here. Now I'm reluctant to do this, but there's no other way I can think of removing this. So I'm just going to keep my pliers away from that fourth wheel pivot. And let's move this out of the way and hold everything in place as I lever this up. No, that is not moving, folks. That is not moving. No, I see no movement of this at all. So this is a bit of a dilemma because the cannon pinion does not seem to want to be removed from the shaft, which is not good. I don't really want to clean this in place, but I may have to. Well, that's not possible either. I'm trying to think of what to do here. All advice taken at this moment in time. I know my pliers are my device for actually removing the that's not moving. I don't want to ruin the teeth on this thing. That would not be advisable. The pliers I used were smooth-faced pliers. Now the other thing I could do, I guess, is soak this to allow this oil to work its way in there for removing this, but that would be a shame if I couldn't remove it because it doesn't allow me to get at the gears. And I want to be able to get at the gears. So that's a strange problem. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the video now. And I'm going to take a picture and send it to Sonny, because I think Sonny's worked on a lot of these, and see what he says for removing the cannon pinion. So this is where you can go and get some advice. There's not much more to remove from this watch, by the way. If that cannon pinion were to come up, I'd be able to remove this part here, the face, and then the gears down below, and then it'd pretty much be done. I don't think I want to remove this, as there's a spring in there that catches with that screw, and that concerns me because it's a very special type movement that way. So that scares me and concerns me. And I just try to think of some other way I can grip that cannon pinion to grip it up. The cannon pinion remover doesn't seem to want to work. I've had that problem with old British watches before, but I've always been able to get that cannon pinion up somehow. Yeah, it's just sliding because there's no, it's smooth. There's nowhere to grip the cannon pinion. Well, and I know if I put pressure to pull the gear up from this side to drop the cannon pinion off, that might risk a problem with the gear. Oh me, oh my. What a problem. That is very interesting. The other thing I could try to do is hold the cannon pinion while I rotate the gear. I don't know if that'll do anything, but just keep my pliers away from that fourth wheel. Yeah, it's staying in place when I turn the wheel and grab the cannon pinion, so theoretically this thing should move up. Let me get my cannon pinion device again, removal device again, and see if I can persuade it to come up. Makes no sense at all, folks. No sense at all. These are the trials and tribulations of a watchmaker. So hold on to this tightly. Alright, I'm going to get a pin vise out and see if a pin vise might solve my problem. Oh joy, oh joy. Sorry for all this watchmaking dilemma stuff. So I'm gonna, not sure if this pin vise is gonna be tight enough to grab this movement or the cannon pinion. Let me tighten the crap out of this thing here. There. Keep an eye on the no, even with this tightened as much as I could tighten it still doesn't want to remove the cannon pinion. Loosen it here and put it in there again, and then tighten the crap out of it. God. Nope, doesn't want to come out. That is a really interesting problem. It won't pull up and it won't rotate. So I think I gotta, like I said, I'm gonna get a hold of Sonny and say, what should I do here, Sonny? And I don't want to bugger up the teeth on the hour wheel here, so. Oh, there we go. Got it. Oh my God. And I have all my teeth. That scared the crap out of me. So there it is. It came out. That was very strange, folks. Very strange. It looks like there's a position here that snaps to. So this snaps in at a certain position. So once I got it past that position, it snapped out again. There we go. Done. There's the cannon pinion. I didn't lose any teeth. So I don't have to call Sonny up, but I think I'll send him a note anyway, because this is a really weird problem. There's the cannon pinion there, so sorry about the video being a little bit longer than it should be because of this problem, but it is, so be it, right? I never thought I'd get that done, but it seemed like it wasn't friction fit. It seemed like it had a snap to it. That was very weird. Now let me just disassemble the rest of this quickly. And maybe the fact that this watch is from the 1800s doesn't help. Line the gears or the screws up here with appropriate plate so I don't have an issue. I'm going to lift this plate straight up. Let me just leave the gear where it is so I don't have to deal with taking this off. This here is a screw for the case, actually. So they put a case screw in there too. So why they have a case screw in there, I don't know, but they do. So let me just get this plate off here. I may have to remove the case screw here. It goes all the way down through. It's going to be holding this back, which is likely the case. Sorry for the joke. There we go. Now this thing should lift straight up. And it does. So there we go. Now I just may wash this in place because I don't want to remove the friction fit wheel here. So let me just set that aside. And now I can take out the barrel. It's an old 1800s barrel. Move that aside. I'll take a quick picture here, but I likely would be able to put this together without a picture. But that canyon pinion was incredibly difficult to get out. These wheels are stuck together. They've been together so long. That's why how badly this watch needs cleaning. There's the escapement wheel there. And there we go. Stripped down. Like I said, I'll likely leave that in place and let that dry for a couple of days. I don't want to be messing with this spring here for this. Looks like the spring needs to be on the other side of the screw. I think the spring is also attached here. I'll leave it like this because I think it'll clean it in place and then I can oil it after. So that's it. There it is there. And we've got some of the other pieces here that I probably will disassemble for cleaning. This is my watch, by the way, just to let you know. Yeah, these two pieces here. I can likely take those apart and then take this off, and that just configures it properly or gets it ready for cleaning properly. Take a picture of that, and if I just get the right screwdriver. What screwdrivers do I have? I got way too many screwdrivers on my bench right now. That goes with that. Alright, I got a screw here that's not wanting to move. Holy Jesus. That was in good. And of course everything pops up before you can have a look at it. Yeah, there's a there, and then this wheel here, kind of a ratchet wheel, and then this plate here like that, and then this comes up, screw in there as well. I'll keep those together. Like that, and then the other screw, this one here, was in here like that. So I'll keep all those together. Somebody calling, it's likely spam, and that gear comes off like this. So that's all very cleanable. So the only thing that's really not disassembled is the lever for the setting mechanism, and then taking this wheel out, which I don't think I will. I think I can oil that in place. There's no jewel in the center there, so I'm good there. I'd have to friction fit that, or friction take that off. Not sure about it. So if Sonny, if you're watching this, give me some advice. How do I get that wheel out? So I'm looking at the jewels here, and I've got a little bit of damage. I've got this jewel here they're dirty. I'm not sure if they're damaged. Actually, that's dirty and full of oil. This one is dirty and full of oil, no damage. And that one's dirty and full of oil. So I may be lucky. These are fake cap jewels on here. They're not cap jewels, they're fake. So they just put screws in the setting there. So it's not a cap jewel. And there's no jewels in this piece either. So that's it. So there we go. Let's just zoom out and down. I'll keep everything running. And there we go. That is the mess right there. So there. Now before I do the cleaning, I want to be able to walk out the mainspring here. Should be a simple job to take the cap off the barrel here. And again, I'll take another photo so I know which way this barrel goes. There it is on the inside. And I'll just get a quick photo here. Like that. And there's this mainspring in there. That is one old mainspring. Now the good thing about my fingernails is I can reach right in here, pull up, and then walk the mainspring out, hopefully. It's my fingernails. You're walking the mainspring out, don't lose the arbor, because it's pretty easy for that arbor to go flying. It's sitting in there right now. I probably should have taken the arbor out, but I didn't, so it's a little bit too late now. I'll just walk it out. So this mainspring might be set, which means it's really old and there's not much power left if the mainspring is set. Some people said you can unset the mainspring once and then be able to use it again. So I don't know if that's true. And I can see there's a single T on this. There's nothing on this side and there's a T on that side. And there is a tab on the inside of the barrel right there. So you see that tab? So that tab interfaces with this here, which is good. It's got a tab and then half a T on the top. So show you that here. There's the hole for the tab and there's half of a T on the top for this mainspring. So the mainspring is almost the size of the movement, so it's pretty much set, which means I should replace the mainspring. I'll have to measure that and get another mainspring for that, but let me get the arbor out here. I'm curious what the hook on the arbor looks like. There's the arbor and that little tiny hook right there. Can you see that? Pardon the fingernails again, but look at that little tiny hook on the arbor. That's what holds the arbor or the mainspring on. So that's not a lot. So that's wanting for a decent size hook. So let me just throw this stuff in the baskets while you guys are still watching. Hopefully, probably already hung up by now. But I will put the main plate in the bottom here, and I will put the sub plate down here too. Hopefully, I've got room. If I put this in here, it's not going to squish that sub plate. No, I think I'm good. So that's the main plate and the sub plate, and then I can put the mainspring in like this. And I always put the barrel and the barrel cap in the bottom side, and then this probably can go underneath that mainspring right there. Like that. That's good enough. So kind of like this, and then the this can go right on top like this. Yeah, that's good. That's a good fit right there. And then for this, I want to make sure the parts I have don't wander. So the first, I want to put this spring and a little tiny screw together, and that should stay where it is. And then this can go in here as well. And I think the other little tiny screw can go in there too. I'm not sure if they're brothers or sisters, but we'll find that out when we reassemble. And there's the click for that. And I can probably throw that in as well, which is the other wheel. And then that's, I think, good enough for this side. And I try to make sure that there's an equal amount on the opposite side, so when the cleaning machine spins, I don't have issues. So here, because this is heavy, I can put this in here like that. And then I'll put the stem in there as well. That's fine. And then I can probably, I'll leave this out for now. And I'll leave this like that for now. So that's good enough for that container. Then this container, I can put the some of the wheels in this container here. Yeah, so this is one of the wheels here. Just want to be careful with this. I can put these two wheels together without a problem, like that. And the escapement wheel, let me think here. Should I put that in there? I don't know. I don't think I will. I'll leave the escapement wheel in a separate container. I'll put it in this one here. There, it can go in here on its own. Like that. And that's that for these four. And then the next level, I've got some plates here. I'm hoping I can put that plate in there. Yep, that fits nicely, and I'll throw the two screws in there so I know that they're part of that. The other two screws that I had for the bottom plate I can throw in here because I know they're part of that. That way things don't get messed up, right? And then I can take this pallet fork off very carefully. If I can remove that pallet fork. There we go. Put that in the center because I don't want to, I'll clean that pallet fork by hand, but I can put the pallet fork plate, I'll put it in the opposite side to give it some weight, and then throw that in there. And I can throw in now, I can throw in the center wheel and the minute wheel in there. And I'll throw in the famous cannon pinion. Throw that in there as well. That should all stay without a problem. I'm going to wash this spring by hand. Here, this one here with the screw, I'll wash that by hand. I'll wash the pallet fork by hand, and I'll just clean the hands. I don't need to do much with the hands. And that, my friends, should be it. So when I put this back in here, lower that down very carefully. Like that. Make sure everything fits perfectly. And then when I put this on, I make sure the smooth part goes down so I've got a decent interface on the top. So nothing can slip out of there. So there it is there. There's the cleaning baskets all set up. So now I can go to my cleaning room and run the machine and clean this watch. So So that's it for the disassembly, and I'm going to go clean this watch now. So the hard part was taking off the cannon pinion. So if you've got any tips for me, Sonny out there has repaired or cleaned and repaired many of these types of watches. The Elgin Convertible, very interesting watch. I'd love to know if there's a better way of taking off that cannon pinion. If there's not, then I did it properly and away we go. So thanks for watching the video, and I'll catch you next time. And again, if you want me to do any work on your pocket watches, I've cleaned and repaired hundreds and hundreds of pocket watches over the years. I've been at this since 2008, and I've learned a lot, and I've always had satisfied customers who have loved what I've done and get their watches working well, so they could, a lot of them, give their watches to their grandkids. And some of them have had collections. So thanks again. I'm JD, and you can get a hold of me at jdwatchservice@gmail.com, jdwatchservice@gmail.com, and thanks again for watching.